Welcome to the Remastered Sonic Generations experience. Whether playing competitively or tapping into the Speed Force to score personal bests, here are a few tips and tricks that you may find useful for speedrunning. The classic Sonic experience balances momentum-based maneuvers with stop-and-go precision platforming. As with most Sonic platformers, starting by memorizing stage layouts is key to pathfinding the quickest routes to clear each act. From there, mastering Sonic's movement options will open up opportunities for you to save even more time off your personal best. Starting with the basics, jump height varies depending on how long the jump button is held down. Performing full jumps is best for clearing long stretches of platforms and reaching high areas. However, there are situations where half jumps work better for clearing quick platforming maneuvers without losing speed from extra airtime. The spin dash is the most powerful tool in Sonic's moveset, granting access to high speed and invulnerability to most basic obstacles and enemies. With good timing, this can be used to launch jumps from inclines to clear platforming sections quickly and efficiently. Note that there's a small window between a weak launch and a strong launch, so keep that in mind when platforming to manage your speed accordingly. The Pink Spikes version of the spin dash functions in a similar fashion and can be used to climb walls and launch vertical jumps to clear Planet Wisp in resourceful ways not intended by the game design. In addition to Sonic's basic abilities, skills can be equipped to further enhance Sonic's utility and movement options. Some of the best skills include athleticism, which helps prevent Sonic from losing speed when moving uphill and underwater. The Thunder Shield is unlocked from City Escape Act 1, Challenge 2, and equipping this enables electric damage protection as well as double jump utility. The Flame Shield is unlocked from Crisis City Act 1, Challenge 4. Equipping this enables fire damage protection as well as a horizontal burst of speed by pressing the jump button while airborne. The Drop Dash provides niche utility for platforming by pressing and holding the jump button while airborne to land with a small burst of speed. Finally, we have D-Speed. This is an exploit that can be used to reach top speed while airborne. With this, the trick is to exploit airtime by jumping to get the most mileage out of the effects of this technique. It's initiated by nudging the control stick to the right or left, just enough for Sonic to start moving. To activate D-Speed, charge a spin dash and jump while holding the control stick in place to accelerate. Since D-Speed is triggered at high speeds, jumps can be chained consecutively or extended with the Thunder Shield for momentum-based maneuvers. In areas where the camera is angled forward or backwards, the control stick may need to be tilted a bit higher or lower for better results, so keep that in mind.
Nice on! Nice on! Nice on! Nice on!
The modern Sonic experience follows the same tradition of balancing speed and platforming, with abilities and mechanics that can be used to clear acts in creative ways not intended by the game design. Be sure to learn and memorize the stage layouts to map out the fastest routes, then work on optimizing movement options to get the most mileage out of Sonic's abilities. Starting with the basics, jump height varies depending on how long the jump button is held down. Tapping the jump button keeps Sonic in a freefall state, where it's easier to retain speed while airborne for low landings and lateral jumps. Holding the jump button puts Sonic in his jump ball state, while gaining extra lift. It's more difficult to maintain speed in this state, however, it's best for reaching high places and footstooling enemies. Boosting is the bread and butter of Sonic's mobility, providing a burst of speed on demand with invulnerability to most basic obstacles. A boost can be performed by holding the action button, so long as Sonic has remaining boost gauge energy. Initiating a boost while airborne consumes more boost energy while providing a swift burst of speed. This can be exploited by landing with air boosts to quickly hit top running speed. This can also be exploited with gimmicks that can retain momentum, such as dash panels, to reach speeds not normally available in areas such as railways, where high speeds can be carried across long distances with efficient boost gauge management. In locations like Seaside Hill, boosting will consume more energy on water. Note that going out of bounds comes with the territory of running into To bypass the surface check, all you gotta do is flick the control stick backwards whenever it resurfaces to send it away until making it back to safety. Meanwhile, the boost gauge can be refilled by collecting rings, as well as performing actions such as tricks, destroying obstacles, and enemies. Drifting can be used to bank tight turns by holding the drift button while veering in either direction. In full 3D areas, refrain from drifting into walls to avoid losing speed. Drifting in restricted 3D areas will restrain Sonic's handling while granting access to speeds not normally available. There are certain restricted 3D areas that make drifting inaccessible on sight. However, some of these locations can be exploited by drifting from full 3D areas in advance. Be sure to hold the control stick to the far left or right when changing directions to maintain Sonic's drift in these locations. When boosting on water, drifting allows Sonic to accelerate by snaking directions to travel much faster than normal. Just make sure to maintain the boost gauge to avoid drowning while surfing. Drifting can also be used to launch from ramps and walls by offsetting a drift into the air while boosting for a burst of speed. The initial drift can behave pretty inconsistently when thrown over steep walls and inclines, but with enough trial and error, it can be used resourcefully to clear areas in ways not intended by the game design. While sliding can be used to clear low ceilings, it has additional utility beyond its intended use. In areas that transition from 3D into 2D, Sonic's base speed will scale down even while boosting. However, these transitions can be exploited by holding the slide button on entry to retain speed going from 3D into 2D locations. Sliding is also an effective way to maintain speeds not normally available by boosting, allowing Sonic to carry momentum while saving time with resourceful boost gauge management. An air dash is performed by pressing the jump button while airborne without locking onto a target. This maneuver is a more controlled alternative to air boosting that can be used to clear precision jumps or to reverse direction in 2D locations. The default air dash distance is the same across all versions of the remaster. However, exclusive to the PC version, air dash parameters can be customized. From the control settings menu, the gamepad sensitivity can be adjusted to 100% to increase Sonic's air dash distance. This can be exploited by auto-canceling air dashes into rails for high-speed maneuvers. The faster that Sonic is moving when launching an air dash, the more distance it can cover in 2D locations. This can also be auto-cancelled during transitions from 2D to 3D locations for a burst of speed. The drop dash is also a new mechanic built into modern Sonic's moveset, activated by holding down the jump button after performing an air dash. Since a drop dash cannot be cancelled by boosting, it can be cancelled on demand by flicking the control stick in the opposite direction or by tapping the slide button. While it requires more setup than boosting on demand, it has some niche utility for platforming. The initial dash has a high speed output, which can make it an even more effective launch tool than boosting in some cases. Since these stages weren't created with the drop dash in mind, feel free to use it in ways not intended by the game design. In courses that transition from 3D to 2D, a few of these areas can be exploited by skipping 2D triggers to enter these areas in full 3D. Some skips are more accessible than others, but most involve jumping over or around the path that would send Sonic directly into 2D. With this exploit, Sonic will retain his 3D properties, allowing him to move at speeds much faster than these areas were designed for. This can be used to skip large portions of 2D platforming, but it's a lot easier to fall out of bounds, so be careful. Note that touching a checkpoint in this state will respawn Sonic back in 3D while resetting the camera after losing a life. However, it can still be a convenient way to practice pathfinding out of bounds. Skills are tools that add another layer to modern Sonic's utility when equipped. In modern Sonic's case, you'll want to prioritize skills that increase locomotion and boost gauge management. Serial homing reduces the cooldown in between homing attacks for faster execution. The direct jump skill increases wall jump speed and reduces the cooldown in between consecutive jumps. The athleticism skill helps prevent Sonic from losing speed when moving uphill or underwater. Acceleration enables Sonic to pick up speed at a much faster rate, with better handling for changing direction in 2D locations. This skill in particular makes it much easier to maintain speed while airborne, to perform maneuvers that wouldn't otherwise be possible. Acceleration also applies to rocket handling, making it easier to veer to the right or left while ascending. The blast off skill can be used to dash at full speed with the jump boost when prompted at the start of each act. Blast off, when combined with acceleration, can be used resourcefully to clear openings to acts at speeds not normally available. The endless boost skill disables boost gauge depletion, which is best for routes that don't offer many chances to replenish boost gauge energy. This also disables the ability to collect rings, so be sure to avoid taking damage with this skill equipped. Enter Maximum Speed. This is an exploit that can be used to reach top speed in 3D and 2D locations. M-Speed is the 3D version of this exploit. It's initiated by gently nudging the control stick in the direction you want to go, just enough to start moving. To launch M-Speed, get a good running start, and catch some air while holding the control stick in place. The threshold for M-Speed makes straightforward M-Speed inaccessible in most locations, so be sure to tilt the control stick up right or up left for the most effective results. There's a very small margin for this input where tilting with too much or too little force won't trigger M-Speed, so keep that in mind. As an advanced technique, M-Speed can also be tilted to the right or left to change direction in full 3D areas, or to strafe in either direction in restricted 3D areas. D-Speed is the 2D version of this exploit. It's initiated by nudging the control stick to the right or left, just enough for Sonic to start moving. From there, pick up some speed and catch some air, while holding the control stick in place to accelerate. Note that the input for D-Speed may need to be tilted higher or lower depending on the camera angle. Another version of D-Speed called Air D-Speed is performed by holding the control stick all the way up and slightly to the right, just enough for Sonic to start moving. While holding this position, jump and air boost to pick up speed. It's worth noting that this technique isn't quite as accessible as base D-Speed, however, it's exclusive to a few areas that can save time with good execution.
Nice on. 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 Nice on.
For the Steam version of the original 2011 port of Sonic Generations on PC, there's a wide variety of mods, including a few tools and codes to improve the quality of life experience while speedrunning. HedgeModManager is a convenient open-source tool for downloading and organizing mods for a variety of Sonic games, including but not limited to Sonic Generations. When downloading mods from sites like GameBanana, there's often an option to download them directly through HedgeModManager, which automatically saves and organizes the mods within your Sonic Generations directory. After following the HedgeModManager installation instructions, you can download the mod loader from the Settings tab. It'll just take a few moments to set up. Then, all your mods from your game folder will be listed in the Mods tab. Now, tick the boxes corresponding to the mods you want to use, and then select Save and Play from the lower right corner to run the game with your mods. In addition, there's a variety of custom codes that can be used to toggle graphics and mechanics. Some of the more useful codes include disabling lives when restarting and allowing controller hot plugging, which can save a lot of time and frustration from game overs and controller disconnections. It's also worth noting that the Terrain Collision Viewer code displays hidden solid surfaces and kill planes, which is great for pathfinding difficult routes when going out of bounds. As for mods, the FreeCam mod is one of the best utility mods around. Installing this will allow you to freely manipulate the in-game camera in stages and cutscenes. Using the designated FreeCam button can also be used to move around the map without restriction. It's worth noting that terrain textures will only load within Sonic's vicinity, so wandering too far away can make it difficult to navigate other areas. Both control sticks can be used to move and turn around, while pushing down on the left stick will teleport Sonic to your location. Keep in mind that 2D areas will snap Sonic back into 2D, and Sonic can't be respawned while rail grinding. But hey, this mod is still a useful tool for teleporting Sonic to any part of an act to practice replaying maneuvers, or experiment with ways to break out of bounds. Input Display is a free utility that can be used to track your controller inputs on screen. Opening the application will create a window showing your control stick ring, and with some configuration, it'll indicate when buttons are pressed. There are also resources that can be used to customize these graphics by choosing from the ones provided, or by inserting your own overlay into the application folder. With an application like OBS, this tool can then be positioned to keep the input display on screen while running the game. And when set up correctly, this utility is great for recording inputs for reference. That way, you can recreate advanced directional inputs and button combinations for complex speedrun maneuvers. This is also a great tool for training M speed and D speed by aligning the inputs with the sweet spot ring as a reference in real time. DS4 Windows is another open source tool that works for both the original and the remastered versions of Sonic Generations. Instead of modifying the game, this tool emulates controller inputs by mapping buttons to a virtual keyboard or Xbox controller. After setting up the application, as long as you have a PlayStation DualShock or a Nintendo Switch controller, you can connect them through Bluetooth or USB port to get started. Once set up with your controller of choice, you can begin customizing your control scheme from this window. From here, you can add utility to buttons that are unassigned, like the D-pad for example, so now you can use it as an alternative movement option. You can even adjust settings such as the maximum input of the control stick. And be sure to apply your settings so that your controller customization goes into play. Also be sure to have Steam detect your control scheme as an Xbox controller to have DS4 Windows override your controller inputs. After setting that all up, let's see what DS4 Windows can do. It's worth noting that most tools that provide an unfair advantage aren't eligible for competitive speedrun submission, but feel free to use these resources for entertainment at your own discretion. Thanks for tuning in to this featured presentation. This has been an introduction to the remastered Sonic Generations speedrun experience. Hope you found this helpful, or at least a bit entertaining. And hey, if you like what you've seen, there's plenty more where that came from.